knowledge is power. Knowledge
Sure.
in this industry, knowledge is power. And sometimes we think like, oh, I'm too old, or I'm not a computer savvy, or I'm not used to. No. Those are mental things. I'm pretty sure you can handle a phone, you can handle a computer, you can
Sure.
handle a handheld, you can handle anything that you put yourself into it.
Hello, and welcome to the Elevator Careers Podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group. I am your host, Matt Allred. In this podcast, we talk to the people whose lives and careers are dedicated to the vertical transportation industry to inform and share lessons learned, building upon the foundation of those who have gone before to inspire the next generation of elevator careers. Today our guest is the elevator chick, Loannie Reyes, the CEO of Authentic Elevator Services, headquartered in New York City. Loannie and her husband Quinn are originally from Puerto Rico and came to New York with a dream of learning the business and starting an elevator company in Puerto Rico. In addition to being the CEO, Loannie picked up the tools of the trade, and as a mechanic and inspector, she can often be found performing repairs, troubleshooting, and inspecting. Loannie loves the elevator industry and is passionate about teaching, training, and developing everyone who wants to learn. Loannie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I feel very honored.
Oh,
Matt.
thank you. No, I'm excited to talk to you. And I just wanted to start out with your nickname, the Elevator Chick. And where did that come from? And when did you start to embrace that and say, yeah, I'll be that?
It was funny because I hear a lot in the industry, we talk and you hear here and there, you hear people like, oh, you work for the company of the lady or the woman or that woman that has the elevator company. And I was laughing. One day I go to visit a customer. That was the day that kind of like embraced it. And the guy was like, I'm very honored that you're here. Thank you for coming. And I'm like, okay, no, we're here to provide you a service. And he's like, yes, we have heard so much about you and we feel honored that you came yourself. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? And he said, yes, because everybody's talking about the elevator, the lady on the elevator, they call it in the street elevator chick, And I'm like, wait, people talk about me? I didn't even know. And they were like, yes, the elevator chick. And when we were looking to I never expected that you will come yourself to fix the elevator. And I'm like, oh, no, I come to the field. I do work. It's not all the time, but I'm trying to keep myself in the field and active with the technology and everything. And that day when I came back I walk out and I'm talking to the mechanics. I'm like, people are talking about me? And they're like, yeah, we're proud about it. And I'm like, really? And he said, yes. No, we always talk to everybody and we tell them so that I work for the elevator chick. And the funny thing is, after that day, I said, well, so the elevator chick it is. I'll take it. I like it.
That's awesome.
And we embrace that.
That's great. Thank you for that. And it's certainly sometimes it can be an honor when others give you a nickname, but that's it's one you can love, it's one you can adopt, and especially when they're speaking well about you out on the street, like you say, it's like, wow, oh, okay, who would have guessed?
Exactly.
Awesome. So I want to ask, how did you come into the elevator industry? What was kind of the early beginnings, if you will?
Well, that's funny because this is kind of like my husband, my brother-in-law was here in New York. We were in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And he invited my other brother-in-law and my husband to come to work in New York in the elevator industry. They were starting as a helper. And so we decided to come to New York from Puerto Rico. And we started to learn the industry. I was not working in elevators at that time at all.
Right.
So I was running a company, a building maintenance company, and I was the director of administration there. So my husband was learning the industry, and our idea was to learn the industry, move back to Puerto Rico, and open an elevator company in Puerto Rico. So that was our plans, but it didn't happen that way. So my husband, it just so happened that he started developing very quickly because he was always working right hand with the owners of different companies. And so he learned and developed very quickly. Within 2 years, he was already promoted to mechanic.
Wow.
He was a union. He was in the union, but he started with the 72-hour rule in Local 3. Mm-hmm. And so after that, so he was promoted to, in the company, they promoted New York Elevator, I'm sorry. He was working for that one, and then he got promoted to mechanic in New York Elevator. And so he started, we were growing, and then he left New York Elevator and went to one of the owners that he told us, hey, let's come with me. I'm going to let you run the entire operations department. So he started working with him. It was a small company, a Westchester Elevator. And so he was talking to my husband that, hey, don't go to Puerto Rico, let's partner here. But he did that to many people. So it's kind of like, but we didn't know that after he passed away. So years passed and he got very ill and he passed away. Oh. So the family came to us and they tried to sell us the company. But that deal is not come to the case. So it didn't happen. And so we opened Authentic Elevator Services. And so I'm like, don't worry. Let's open Authentic. I'll support you. So the idea was for me to run the administrative part while he runs the operation. But at the beginning, so it's a business that's starting. So we couldn't afford to pay everybody, like a bunch of mechanics.
Right.
So I was my husband's helper. And so we have some guys that were helping us to do the maintenance. And I sneak out because he didn't want me to go on the field. He was like, what the customers are going to think. I don't feel comfortable. It's like, I don't mind. I know you're capable, but I don't like the idea because how it's going to look. My wife is working on the field. And I'm like, forget about it. It doesn't matter. I can do this.
Right.
So I remember sneaking out with the helpers. With the maintenance mechanics. And I'm like, teach me how to do this, how you do that, how you do this. And my husband, every time that he was going troubleshooting before we opened the company, I used to go with him. We didn't have children at the moment.
Right.
So I used to go with him to the field and he was talking to me. I'm like, what do you look in the elevators when you do troubleshooting? Oh, so we get in the elevator and he was giving the riders, you see this noise, you see this, that means this. Okay, you see this is clipping rollers, you see this is like, this is shoes and the worn guy shoes and everything. And I'm like, okay, how do you determine that? He was showing me and I was absorbing everything, but he didn't know that.
Right.
He was like just with his wife, having fun all over the place. So, and one day I remember it was a trouble call. And a trouble call came in. He was tied up with another call. The other mechanic was tied up with another call. He didn't have another mechanic that was tied up with another call. And he was like, oh my God, we need to send somebody immediately. And I'm like, I'll do it. And he's like, do you dare? And I'm like, yes, of course, I'm there. I'll do it. And he's like, it sounds to me like it's that is a clipping roller. So that's just a release roller and that's it. And he's like, okay, Loannie, be very, very, very careful. And he's very methodic. He's very slow, passive. And he's like, they're very careful. Take all the safety measurements. When you get there and you take control of the top of the car, make sure that nothing happens and call me. And I'm like, I call you, no problem. So I grabbed my tools and I went to that building. I remember it was in New Rochelle. I fixed it. I came back and he said, okay. He called me, okay, are you there? You know what you're going to do? I'm like, yeah, I already fixed it. And he's like, wait, what? And I'm like, yes, I fixed it. And he's like, what do you mean you fixed it? And I'm like, yes, it was clipping locks. So I literally adjusted the release roller so the cam doesn't heat it. So I adjusted, and he was like, so now the elevator is it's not stopping. And it's like, no, nobody's getting trapped. Everything, I run it like 5 times already, is fine. And he's like, okay, so good. Thank you. And he's like, okay. So after that, I started going on the field because I wanted to know more, to do maintenance. So I started with the maintenance. And I remember then I wanted no, I want to learn repairs. So I want to learn repairs. I want to go, let's do a hoist cable. a hoist cable job. And I remember White Plains, that was my first job. And we were doing a hoist cable job, and it was a overhead traction. It was 7 floors. Right. And I'm like, okay, let's go there. And we started doing it. And I'm like, learning how to do it. So after that, I started getting involved in more repairs. And the funny thing is, like, when you're a woman in the elevator industry, the mechanic doesn't let you carry the tools. And I'm like, this is a great helper job.
I was going to ask you, what's your experience, being, and it sounds like even from the beginning, your husband was like, no, you can't go into the field until you just started going. Exactly. So what are some of the things you face? It sounds like the tools is one of them.
I would say with the mechanics themselves, it was not, they look at me like, you really a mechanic? Oh, like if I go to a job, I remember one job in Manhattan, it was a hotel. And that job, it was in 41st Street. And I walk in, and it was 2 Thompson's Microflight DC. It was like a very difficult, those are awesome controllers, but if you're not familiar with them, they're really hard to maintain, and they have like this selector that every time that goes bad, you need to reset it and reprogram completely. So it's a hotel. You don't want, both elevators went down. Right. Owner was desperate, and I walk in, and they are like, the mechanic, it was one mechanic there, but he couldn't handle it. He was like, I'm struggling with the selector. I don't know how to program it. So, and I'm like, okay, I'll go in a minute. So I walk in, and he's like, what this woman doing here? And he's like, oh, she's gonna fix your elevator. And he's like, oh, she's your helper. And he's like, no, she's the boss. the mechanic told her, like, told them. And he's like, he made like this face like, I don't believe it. So I walk in 10 minutes, I came down, both elevator running. And he's like, okay, next time, send her. Don't send the guy, send her. Because that's the thing, people doesn't have the expectation that you're going to be able to do it. But once you deliver, they embrace you with no problems. And the mechanics has been, my experience, they're always being very cooperative. They were always being open to teach me. I haven't faced challenges with mechanics telling me, oh, no, I'm not going to teach you that. Right. Or I'm not going to, I know this happened in the industry a lot, but my experience hasn't been like that. Quite the opposite. They've been, come, let me show you this. Or I remember I was doing a troubleshooting, and I was FaceTiming with a mechanic that was helping me out with some job. And he's like making fun of me because I have nails and I keep my nails. Right. And he was like, you have too nice, your nails are too nice for mechanic. And I'm like, that's why they are the shape they are. Because I can grab the screws, okay, and I can hold them while I'm screwing something. And he's like, oh, so your nails are tools? And I'm like, actually, they are.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So you kind of started as a mechanic once you had started the company, really. Your husband learned it first. He kind of taught you. So you came in, and then once you, I guess, really became a mechanic, is that what helped you? I guess you were already in charge of the administration of the company as well as being a mechanic, or how did you navigate that?
No, I oversee pretty much everything in the company. I have people in administration. They have people in the accounting department. I have people that in the inspection department, the co-compliance department. We have people in the sales department. So they pretty much run by themselves. I just oversee the numbers, that everything is being properly done and things like that. But when there are situations in the field that require somebody's skill or proprietary equipment, a lot of people get afraid with the proprietary equipment. And I'm the one that's jumping and just take care of it. Because it's like, it's a man-made thing. I can fix this. That's my philosophy.
That's wonderful. So you talked to me earlier. You had mentioned one of your goals in developing your employees. Well, let's back up even one step further. Tell me a little bit about your culture that you've created there, and what's it like, and how does that affect your business overall?
Okay, so we have an open door culture. So that means yes, we have a structure. The supervisors, the mechanics, the supervisors, the foremen, supervisors, the director. However, I have all the mechanics has accessibility to us, to my husband and to me. And if they have any question, they feel free to call us. We don't talk them down, or we don't make them feel incapable because they don't know nothing, or because they don't know something.
Sure.
We never tell them, oh, you don't know nothing. Oh, why I'm paying you this much if you don't know how to do this? It's like, oh, you don't know? Come, let's do it. Right. Oh, you don't know how to that brake, you don't know how to adjust it? Okay, I'm gonna go with you to the field and I'm gonna show you how to do it.
Right.
Sometimes I even make fun of them, like, hey, you need me to go and teach you? You're gonna let a woman teach you? Just kidding. But it's the kind of thing that we joke with them, but not to bash, to make them feel that like they're incapable. Sure. Or no, quite the opposite. We are always telling them, you are the one who limit yourself.
Sure.
If you want to learn, we are gonna provide you everything possible for you to learn. We are not gonna let you get obsolete. It's like, if a mechanic get obsolete because they want it, not because sure. we don't give them the opportunity to grow, to teach them, to like we have right now. I'm in the middle training one person that is becoming an inspector. Okay. And we are training him. He wanted to be an inspector. We started training him. We're in the process of that. We have him doing inspection. I go with the field with him to perform the inspection. Now he kind of like he already flying solo. And he was a maintenance mechanic when he started with us. Okay. And now he's becoming an inspector, and he's very excited about it. And it's like with other things, like I mentioned a little bit before, right? I have a guy that came to our company, and he came from fixing boards in a company. He was doing electronics. And we told him, okay, you're gonna develop as fast as you want. I mean, because we're non-union, so we are like, you want to learn, we're going to help you to learn, to grow. But if you're going to take your time, take your time. But if you're going to grow fast, do your thing, put your extra effort. So this guy did it, and he started growing and growing and growing and growing, learning on his own, asking questions. Hey, I find this, can I do this? Can I do that? Should I do this? We have actually one person that is a technical support for all the mechanics. Okay. His job is just sitting there, answer all the questions from the mechanics. Wow. And in the company, so that way they don't feel limited, so they can go do whatever they can. So I remember he started growing. Now he's within 2 years, 2.5 years, he's to the point that he's a great troubleshooter. Sure. He's one of our strongest troubleshooter in the company. And he developed within 2 years, 2.5 years, and people would say, oh, you need 4 years minimum. No, he has the background, he has the foundation that we can use for him to develop, so he developed faster.
Tell me about that foundation. What did that look like?
The foundation for him was electronics.
Okay, that's right, you said that.
Exactly. So he has a background in electricity and electronics. So the part that we had to teach him was the mechanical part, pretty much. And the industry procedures, the safeties and all that stuff. So once he dominated that, like right now, we have an elevator customer, actually, that happened recently. One of our new customers that we got, he had a company that has his elevator down for 2 months. Wow. My mechanic went there, and in 2 days, that elevator was back in service. Wow. And that was that guy with only 2 years of experience. So, but it's because we train him. We don't limit them. It's like, you want to grow? You want to learn electricity? Okay, here is electricity. We teach you electricity. Oh, you want to learn electronics? Okay, we teach you electronics. You want to learn mechanics? Okay, we teach you that. Right. So that way they can develop.
How does that, I will call it cross-training, how does that affect like turnover, for example? How does it affect your company overall?
The cross-training, I would say when they start, so it's how are they willing to learn? It's more like how open they are to learn. Right. Because if somebody comes with the mentality of not to grow or to do something like, oh, I want to make my buck and just go home.
They're
And
probably
I'm
not
not
gonna.
gonna put any extra
Right.
effort in the job. So that's a problem. And
Sure.
that situation, they don't grow. So they're gonna get stuck.
Right. Right.
However, if they are willing to go with oh, I want to learn. And if they want to spend their own personal time learning new things and exposing themselves, the sky is the limit.
You're going to give them those opportunities. And then
Exactly.
do you find that they stick around longer and are more dedicated employees if they have those opportunities to grow? That was
Yes,
okay.
yes, definitely. And it's like not making them feel embarrassed of knowing something.
Sure.
Is that's we are adults. Nobody likes to be scolded. Nobody likes to be feel downgraded or anything like that.
Right.
We want to learn. We're capable to learn, but sometimes we don't dare to learn because we are embarrassed that
Sure.
somebody make fun of us. And but when they are not a when you find somebody that is willing to teach you, to take you, grab you by the hand and teach you, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
So, and I always joke with my guys telling them, if you grow, make yourself, don't be concerned that if I cannot afford you anymore, I'm going to be happy because I am part of your growth. Okay. I am part of you becoming the successful person that you are. And it's like we have people that they have grown and they're like, hey, somebody's offering me money. You have my blessing. Go for it. I'm happy for you.
That's awesome.
So you know that we're here. Go for it. And they grow, and some of them has come back. We have one mechanic. We have several mechanics, but one of the mechanics, he came back after many years of gaining experience in the industry. He came back, and now he's with us, and he's one of my superstars in the mud teams.
Right.
Because is how we try to maintain that culture.
Yeah, yeah. And is that the reason he said, hey, I want to be with you guys because of how you treat me, of how the culture is?
So he enjoys very much. He's like, he likes to be with the company. Is kind of like a family. So yeah, the guys fight between them. It's normal. They have disagreement and everything, but we try to maintain a family environment. It's like everybody has to respect each other, and hey, we're not here to fight. We're here to have to
Sure.
do what we love, to grow, to make money, and to have fun with it. And I like my technical support guy. He always tell the guys, so I'm afraid. Sometimes the guys are like, I'm afraid to break something. Said mechanic doesn't break anything. Mechanic fix it. So don't worry, you're not gonna break anything. And when you take that fear away from them, oh, the sky's the limit. They start flying, and they start going like, hey, okay, I did it, and they feel the achievement, and we are like celebrating with it. Hey, Charlie, Wepa, awesome. You did it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you just curious, how long have you been in the elevator industry at this point?
14 years.
14 years.
14
and at
years.
What point did you realize, hey, I love this. I'm gonna stick this out, and how long did it take before it really clicked with you that this is amazing?
I would say that within the first year.
Okay.
Within the first year, I was going with the troubleshooting with my husband, and that moment I was like, he was telling me this and this, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can see this. Oh, and the challenges is the field. Although you're doing repetitive things, you always find a new challenge to face, and overcoming that challenge is like, yeah. So it's like, you did it. You feel like, oh, I can do this.
Right.
It's very empowering.
Yeah. So as you look at the industry overall, what are some of the issues that you are facing as a small company in the industry?
Well, like I would say, well, besides the parts are scarce in everywhere. Like it's very hard to everything is taking longer to be manufactured and everything. I would say the lack of good talent or people willing to learn, because everybody wants the money, but they don't want the process of learning.
Interesting.
And so like mechanics, that when you start developing people or training them from the beginning, a lot of them, they start growing, but they want to make the big bucks quickly.
Right.
However, they're not willing to put the extra time. They're not willing to learn on their own. Like, hey, I give you a book. Did you read it? Did you read that book that give you the fundamentals that you need to do this? No, I don't have time. I get home and I just watch movie or I spend my family time. Like, okay, so then don't get upset when you don't grow that fast. Only it's only a few that are willing to put that extra effort,
right,
and then pay off for them, because definitely they are like developing and growing and willing to get more acquainted with the changes. And this industry is changing a lot constantly too. Sure. It's a lot of innovation happening.
Innovation, plus you've got a lot of people retiring. You got you had mentioned people moving out of New York, maybe
state, exactly. New York, a lot of areas look like dead because it's a lot of people moving out, and that's so talent is also moving out, and good talent, and sure. That's the sad part, because we are if the good talent all move out, then everybody has to start from scratch,
right?
And that's one of the challenges, because they can make good money in other states and the cost of life is way more economical. So when you face that challenge, you're like, oh, okay, I cannot tell you don't move. It is what it is. So
yeah.
Good luck.
What are some of the things you do to try to counteract that, just the fact that talent is leaving or maybe getting more scarce?
Well, the action that we're doing is like when we recruit the guys, we let them know we want to develop you, we want to train you. Are you willing to learn that? Are you willing to grow within the industry? So we don't hire helpers, we hire apprentices. So the intention is to teach them, to take them to the next level, that they're willing to learn, that they're willing to grow. And when they are in that attitude, that mentality, so the sky is the limit, so we can develop them. But sometimes not all the helpers come with that attitude. Sometimes sure. And you get stuck with one, but that's okay. You need a helper anyway, but you want to develop more mechanics within the in-house, so sure. They can grow, they can develop themselves, and you want to take them to the next level so the company can grow with them.
Right.
That's one of the things that we do to counteract that. Also, we like I mentioned to you that we were looking to start sending our mechanics to the school from Bobby Chafer.
Sure. Right. And the Elevator Learning Center, correct? The Elevator Learning Center.
So that's something that we love. We are very pro educational program. It's not just hands-on experience, it's also the educational part that they have to learn.
Awesome. Yeah.
It will come hand to hand.
Right. No, thank you. So as we kind of get to the end, we're running out of, time is getting short, I guess I should say. And my question for you as we wrap up is, what is some advice that you would give to to our listeners, I guess?
Well, to the listeners, if you're a mechanic, I would say, don't limit yourself. We are our worst judge, I would say. The mechanics you can grow. It's like you're a repair mechanic and you don't want to learn electricity. Don't do that. You're limiting yourself. You're becoming obsolete. You're making yourself obsolete. So instead, becoming one thing that I like about like Local One, they don't have maintenance mechanics or repair mechanics or mud mechanics. They have service mechanics and new construction mechanics. And I love that because it's a very overall. The more that you know, knowledge is power. Knowledge sure. In this industry, knowledge is power. And sometimes we think like, oh, I'm too old, or I'm not a computer savvy, or I'm not used to. No. Those are mental things. I'm pretty sure you can handle a phone, you can handle a computer, you can sure. handle a handheld, you can handle anything that you put yourself into it. If you are able to be a mechanic, definitely you are able to learn anything. And the same thing with the apprentice. If you're an apprentice, don't settle for less. Don't settle to stay there. Grow, 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 because the mechanics are going to retire, and you are the industry needs more people like you to take that position, and that those apprentices to make sure to grow and develop themselves. Hey, the big money is not in the apprentice; it's in the mechanic position, sure. And not to be afraid of it. And up to the business owners, I would say, make sure to treat well your mechanics. Look out for them. They are really, really your asset, because this is, if you're a service company, they are your main asset. Your mechanics, the service that you're providing, they are the representation of your company. If you treat them well, if you make them happy, even sometimes you need to be the friend, you have to be the psychologist, you need to understand every situation that they're facing. Hey, it's not easy. You don't want to invest the time in that, maybe because you're there for the money, because you build a business for a reason. Right. But if you are a service company, who provide the service is your main asset, and that's your mechanics. That's pretty much what I would say.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for just sharing your story and your wisdom. And I appreciate you being on with me today.
Thank you for having me. I feel very honored. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for listening to the Elevator Careers podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group, a leader in elevator industry recruiting. You can check us out online at elevatorcareers.net. Please subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.